Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 10th, 2020 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm very pleased to have you join us this evening. This meeting is being conducted remotely on Zoom. It's broadcast in Brighton on Spectrum Cable Channel 1303 and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel in compliance with Governor Cuomo's executive order modifying some of the provisions of the New York State Open Meetings Law to enable local government bodies to continue to meet remotely in a way that is still open and accessible to the public. We continue to do that by starting every meeting, even these Zoom meetings, with an open forum. When the open forum begins, and we'll be getting started after some housekeeping in a few minutes, you'll be able to call in at 303-3060. That's 303-3060. Someone will take your call and pass along your questions or comments to me. We also continue to make our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community. Allie and Susan are our interpreters tonight. You see Allie now. Thank you both very much. As a reminder, the agenda for tonight's meeting and all of the supporting material that we are using as we go through that agenda is available on the town's webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. We'll start the meeting tonight with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to speak, before we get started tonight, I want to speak very directly with the community about the COVID situation here in Monroe County and in Brighton. As you have no doubt heard, there has been a very real and very significant spike in COVID cases throughout the Rochester area. Although we were doing very well for several months, over the past month or so, new COVID cases have skyrocketed. And we are currently facing a much higher number of cases than we did at any time during the first wave of the pandemic back in April. Fortunately, we have not yet faced an increase in mortality that goes along with those new cases, but COVID is serious, whether or not it is fatal. And because it's so serious, we must take it seriously as well. Yesterday, Governor Cuomo announced that Rochester and the surrounding communities, including Brighton, are in a COVID microcluster in the yellow category. And he made a similar announcement with respect to Buffalo and Syracuse and surrounding suburbs to those cities. Now, the yellow category does not mean that businesses or schools must close, but it does have a number of implications. First, it means that all gatherings, indoors or outdoors, or a combination of indoors and outdoors, are limited in size to 25 people, period. In a restaurant, no more than 4 people can eat at a table together. Again, whether you're inside or outside. Faith community services will still be limited to 50% of capacity. I know many of the faith communities in Brighton are not meeting in person at all right now. Maybe most significantly, schools, both public, private, and religious schools, must develop a plan to test 20% of their students and staff every week. Now that's subject to parental consent for the students. We have, after resuming in-person town board committee meetings here in Brighton last month, we have made the decision to again cancel those committee meetings, at least for the month of November, and frankly, I suspect beyond. Everything I'm hearing suggests that even if we can control this current wave, we could be at a relatively high level of cases and potentially continued, if not increased, restrictions for some time. What kind of numbers are we talking about? New cases in Monroe County have tripled in just the past month. And that, by the way, is from levels that were already at or above last April's levels. Today, we had 217 new cases in Monroe County. That's the third day out of the last 4 that we've had over 200 new cases. The current 7-day average is 179 cases per day. Again, that's more than double peak levels back in April. If we continue at that pace, we will truly have no choice but to take even more drastic action. I'm speaking with Dr. Mendoza on a regular basis, most recently this morning, along with my fellow town supervisors and village mayors. Dr. Mendoza has stated that private gatherings seem to be causing the spread. Before we got started tonight, we discussed a gathering here in Brighton, well over our limit. The police had to be involved. Those folks are now leaving, but we can't have that. We simply cannot have those kinds of gatherings because Dr. Mendoza is very clear that those are the kind of gatherings that are particularly causing the spread, along with, unfortunately, bars and restaurants. Thanksgiving's coming. I have daughters and grandchildren. We always try to spend Thanksgiving together for dinner with other members of the extended family. This year is different. And I ask everyone to treat this year differently. This Thanksgiving, I ask you, please limit your holiday gatherings to members of your own personal household. No exceptions, so we can stop the spread. Talk to your children, particularly children who may be away at college now, but are planning to come home for Thanksgiving. Now is the time, and the reason I want you to talk with them, now is the time they can make the decisions over the next week or two that will protect themselves, but also your family. Talk to them. Listen, we all, most of us went to college. Probably, almost everybody here. We went to college. We know. But now is not the time to go out to bars. Now is not the time to go out to those frat parties. If they do, they're going to bring COVID home with them. The decisions they make now and for the next 2 weeks are going to decide whether they bring COVID home with them and continue to fuel this spiraling number of cases. It would be truly sad and ironic if, now that we're finally on the brink of the development of a real vaccine, that we make the fatal mistake of ignoring what has worked for us up till now. Wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your social distancing, avoid gatherings of people outside your immediate household, especially indoors. We can do this. We did it before and it worked. But now, with these numbers, we must do it again. Thank you, everybody, for your anticipated cooperation. A couple other things I want to talk about. Community choice aggregation. It's coming to Brighton in January. And with community choice aggregation comes the opportunity for the first time to buy 100% renewable source electricity at a price that is not only fixed, unlike the price on your utility bill that bounces around every month, but it's cheaper than RG&E's current price for non-renewable electricity. Think of it. You're going to have the chance to get 100% renewable source electricity cheaper than what you're paying today for, frankly, a dirty mix of electricity, coal, natural gas, nuclear. Most Brighton residents and small businesses will be getting a letter within the next week or so describing the CCA program and letting you know that although RG&E will still deliver the electricity and handle maintenance issues, your electricity will be coming from a new supplier. It'll be 100% renewable. What's the catch, you might ask? What do I have to do to sign up for this new program? There is no catch. And for most of us, you don't have to do anything to sign up. We will automatically be enrolled in community choice aggregation thanks to the New York State Public Service Commission's Public Service Commission regulations that encourage these renewable energy plans. We held a Zoom meeting a couple of weeks ago. We're going to hold a couple more on November 17th and on December 1st to give everybody and as many people as we can in Brighton the opportunity to learn more about community choice aggregation. You're going to get that letter. You might have questions. We invite everybody to listen in, ask those questions, and starting in January, enjoy the best of both worlds, renewable energy and great pricing. You can also watch the video of that first meeting that we held on the Monroe Community Power web Facebook page. And you'll see some of the questions that were asked then, and it'll be an opportunity to think if you have any questions going forward. It's that time of year, and we always talk about leaf pickup in November. It's well underway, both bulk and containerized pickup. Somebody asked me what bulk pickup is. It's those big old piles that are in people's front lawns, my own included. But to give you an idea of why we encourage you to containerize leaves, if you can, the containerized pickup crew has already completed 2 complete passes through the town. They're beginning their 3rd pass through town tomorrow, or Thursday maybe. Are they working tomorrow, Mike? Yes, they're working tomorrow.
Yes, we will be working tomorrow, Bill.
Thanks. Bulk pickup takes a lot longer. Now, I know some of you might get frustrated that it takes a while before we get those bulk leaves picked up, or worried that your leaves might be left out all winter. They won't be. Our crews will be picking up those bulk leaves as long as weather permits. We will make multiple passes through town. The first snow doesn't stop our highway department crews. You will hear me remind you many times, though, please do not pile the leaves in the street. Pile them on your lawn. I got a call today from someone worried about leaves on Warren Avenue. Said they were piled halfway out into the middle of the street, both sides. It's unsafe. She described to me seeing a couple of relatively young kids trying to walk around these piles and with a car coming and nearly get hit. I've seen kids play. Kids love playing in leaf piles. Imagine if those kids find that leaf pile down the street from their house and start playing in that leaf pile. Don't put your leaves in the street, period. No exceptions. They're a danger to drivers, they're a danger to cyclists, they're a danger to pedestrians, and they are absolutely a danger to children, not just playing in the leaf piles, but think about what time those kids are going to school these days. Kids that are walking to school these days are going to school, particularly the high school, before dawn. Don't make them targets in the difficult dawn's early light. They can also cause flooding. We've been lucky. We haven't had much rain. That's probably going to change. So please, don't pile your leaves in the street. Put them on your lawn. We will pick them up. They will not kill your grass. Rain, snow, sleet, hail, like the post office, the Brighton Highway Department is out there picking up your leaves. Tomorrow, of course, is Veterans Day, which is why we're meeting tonight. There will be a Veterans Day ceremony tomorrow at the Brighton Veterans Memorial. However, I would ask people, if you haven't already RSVP'd that you are coming, I would ask that you watch the ceremony on Facebook Live on the town. The town will be streaming it on Facebook Live so that we stay in compliance with the governor's new rule about 25 people at any kind of gathering. But I do want to read the proclamation that we will formally again be reading tomorrow as part of the Veterans Day ceremony. And as all of these proclamations are, they are issued on behalf of the entire town board. Whereas on the first anniversary of the end of World War I, President Woodrow Wilson established Armistice Day, proclaiming that, quote, reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations, end quote. Whereas subsequently the United States Congress officially recognized the end of World War II in 1926, noting that November 11th, 1918 marked the end of, quote, the most destructive, sanguinary, and far-reaching war in human annals, close quote, and reminded us that, quote, this date should be commemorated with thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understandings between nations. I think today, if we were thinking about that, we might talk about goodwill and mutual understanding within our nation. Whereas renamed Veterans Day by President Dwight D. Eisenhower after World War II, Armistice Day became a federal holiday, acknowledging veterans of all wars, living and deceased. And whereas on this Veterans Day, we continue the tradition of honoring, celebrating, and expressing our heartfelt appreciation to those men and women who have served in our nation's armed forces, especially those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, so that we might enjoy the rights and freedoms of democracy and work towards peace. And whereas mindful that we are today still entrenched in conflicts with other nations, we reflect on the words of President Eisenhower, himself, of course, a veteran, a renowned veteran, who asked us to, quote, solemnly remember the sacrifices of all those who fought so valiantly on the seas, in the air, and on foreign shores to preserve our heritage of freedom, and let us reconsecrate ourselves to the task of promoting and enduring peace, so that their efforts shall not have been in vain. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Brighton Town Supervisor William W. Maley, on behalf of the entire town board, do hereby recognize November 11, 2020 as Veterans Day in the town of Brighton. We ask that each of us support our veterans and personally commit to the task of educating and learning from others so that enduring peace may one day be found. Signed as of November 11, 2020, Veterans Day, on behalf of the entire town board. Okay, we will now begin our open forum. If there is anybody that would like to ask a question or comment to the board, you can do so by calling 303-3060. That's 303-3060. While we wait to see if anybody does wish to participate in the open forum, we'll continue on with the agenda and go back to address any questions that are raised. So could I have a motion, Chris, to approve tonight's agenda?
So I move that we approve the agenda.
Can I have a second? Second, thank you, Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. Communications. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll go to communications. We have not received any calls yet on the open forum. We have 3 items of communication. One of them is from Marilyn, or Ronnie, as she goes by, Pollock, the executive director of the Native American Cultural Center in Rochester, thanking the town board for the Indigenous Peoples Day proclamation last month, but also the territorial acknowledgement, recognizing the land that the Indigenous people lived in here in Brighton. So thank you, Ronnie, for that. We also have a communication that from Chief Cathaldi relating to the resignation of crossing guard Marilyn Womp, and also communication from Marisa Kohler in the court, one of our court employees, that she will be resigning effective actually this Friday, November 13th. Both Marilyn and Marisa, we appreciate your work for the town, in both cases helping to keep Brighton a safer community, and we thank you for that service. Can I have a motion to receive those items of communication?
So moved.
Second. And
Any discussion?
yes, was there a third item of communication received that we did not discuss?
Ronnie Pollock's and the 2 resignations.
I'm sorry, I misheard. I was so saddened by the loss of a crossing guard. Didn't hear about the third one. My apologies.
No problem. No problem. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Take your time.
Aye. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye.
We've all been there,
Oh, gosh, yes.
especially me a lot more than others.
All right, we will now go to committee reports. And as I mentioned, although we had been meeting in person, we're not going to be meeting in person, but we're continuing to do reports from our committee chairs. And we'll start, as we always do, with Robin on behalf of our Community Services Committee. Robin?
Thanks so much, Bill. As you mentioned, the Community Services Committee has not met, not because of COVID, but because it wasn't scheduled to meet since the last town board meeting. But I do have some updates from our department heads. From our recreation department, our registration is ongoing for our recreation programs. All of our program offerings will be featured online. There will be no paper brochure delivered to your homes this year. The Town of Brighton Recreation Department and our partners are committed to the health and safety of our participants, instructors, and staff. All in-person program participants will undergo health screenings before commencing participation in any programming, and cleaning and sanitation is a priority. Group sizes are limited, and mask wearing and social distancing is mandatory for all of our programs. Please check our website and Facebook often as we continue to add programs on an ongoing basis throughout the fall, and of course in light of any change in policy that might occur as a result of our COVID status. There are several new programs starting up over the next couple weeks, both in person and online, so please help us share and get the word out when something interests you by sharing our Facebook posts and or emails with friends. And we also are putting out a call for instructors. If you're interested in sharing your skill or expertise, please complete our new program proposal form that is online at www.townofbrighton.org/rec. The Town of Brighton Senior Center is thrilled to announce the start of our very own grab and go meal program that is now operating right here in Brighton. Trips to Henrietta are no longer required. This weekly grab and go style meal service is provided as part of the Monroe County Nutrition Program. You can order ahead packaged meals. They are available for seniors age 60 and up. Meal pickup is at the Brookside Recreation Center at the Winton Road entrance, which is the only entrance with public access due to COVID protocols. Please contact us for full program details and or to place your order. The number to call is 585-784-5260, extension 0. And please leave your name and phone number, and we will follow up with all of the details. The Brighton Farmers Market continues to be open following COVID-19 procedures. Our regular season is on Sundays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and that season has been extended to November 22nd. The winter season, the market will be staying outside. It will be on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. as long as things don't change, from November 29th through December 20th. This is all occurring in the Brighton High School parking lot at 1150 Winton Road South. And pre-order is still encouraged but not required. If you'd like to see updates, please visit the website www.brightonfarmersmarket.org. An update from our Parks Department. The Parks Department has completed the new playground installation at Meridian Center Park. The playground was part of the 2019 CIP and replaced the 26-year-old playground structure that was there. We've worked with Brighton Ambulance to secure an additional AED machine that will be kept at Meridian Center Park. The AED was donated to Brighton Ambulance by the Tyler Kopp family, and we thank the Kopp family for their generous donation. The other machine is located at Buckland Park. They are both locked in a weatherproof case, and all groups issued field permits are given the access code. In addition, signs are installed to inform the public that they can call 911 to also gain access to those machines. The Parks Department has continued to work with the Girl Scout troop on the ongoing invasive species removal project along the Brickyard Trail. The Scout troop of 6th to 8th graders have put together a detailed map and have already removed over 6 truckfuls of autumn olive, Japanese knotweed, purple loosestrife, and Phragmite, all invasive species. We continue that work and thank the Girl Scouts for their efforts. Right now, lodges continue to be rented out and are closely monitored for occupancy and COVID-19 policy compliance. New occupancy mandates were imposed yesterday by New York State, and gatherings must now be less than 25 people. And we will continue to monitor that situation and again, comply with any COVID-19 restrictions that are issued heretofore. Youth fall sports on town fields are now completed their season. Parking restrictions at Corbett Glen had been lifted for the season. Again, all of this is subject to change given our COVID-19 status. We continue to work on to add a trail on the southeast portion of Buckland Park. This trail should be completed by today with all of our warm weather. I have not had a chance to check it out yet, though. The parks continue to be used heavily on a daily basis. The park water was shut off as scheduled on November 5th, which unfortunately means that outdoor bathrooms have had to remain closed during this string of nice weather. We will be installing new decking at the town hall and town park playgrounds. And Bill already provided our CCA update, but I did just want to mention that our second public information meeting for the Monroe Community Power Community Choice Aggregation Program will be online via Zoom on Tuesday, November 17th at 7 p.m., hopefully over by 8 p.m., so not a long meeting. And if you'd like additional details, you can always check out the website www.monroecommunitypower.com. An update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. Between now and Thanksgiving, IDEA board members will host focus groups with constituencies like families of color, blind persons, youth, LGBTQTI, immigration and refugees, and faith communities. So we continue to work on that. And if you would like more information on joining a focus group, please do reach out to the town of Brighton, and we will be able to connect you with one. And finally, our next meeting would have been Wednesday, November 18th at 9:30 a.m. at the Brookside Recreation Center, but that meeting has been canceled. So we'll keep you up to date on when we'll next be meeting, but thank you so much for following all of the COVID-19 protocols to keep our recreation program safe.
Thanks, Robin. Since you mentioned the IDEA board, I was very pleased to see the front page. Gwen Weber McLeod, our consultant, our inclusion and diversity consultant, who is working with us on the work of the IDEA board, was featured today on the front page of her hometown newspaper in Auburn, in New York, in an article about how the Auburn community is reacting to Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. So, you know, some great insights from Gwen in that article.
That's great. I'll have to check that out. I hadn't noticed that.
Yes. Thanks for that, Robin. We'll go to Jason, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee.
Yes, Bill, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Wednesday, November 4th. Each of the items we discussed in committee appear on tonight's agenda and will be voted on and discussed in more detail. And we were scheduled to meet again 1 week from today on November 17th. However, due to the increase in COVID cases and new protocols, that meeting will be canceled. So more to come. I imagine we'll go back to having information regarding agenda items circulated for review and commentary, and we'll go about it that way again.
Thanks, Jason. Christine, Public Safety?
So Public Safety was to have met early this morning. However, as has been said over and over this evening already, we did have to cancel due to public health concerns. I do not have updates from agency heads at this time. However, there should be information forthcoming to share at the next town board meeting. And should the COVID situation be more under control, the next scheduled meeting of the Public Safety Committee is Tuesday, December 8th at 8 a.m. We'll see what happens between now and then.
Thanks, Christine. I can give one update on a combined public safety, public works matter. Yesterday, the work was done on the north side of the soon-to-be new crosswalk crossing Westfall Road, connecting the Brickyard Trail with Buckland Park. The work was done today on the south side, all framed out and the old concrete removed, and that's going to be paved, weather permitting, on Friday.
Yes, that's a very exciting update. And in fact, you and I were on the phone as I drove past, watching our crew beginning that very auspicious work. And I'm thrilled to see that coming to fruition. The number of times folks drive past that particular desire path between the Brickyard Trail and the Buckland Park and other amenities there. The number of times you see folks getting ready to make that break across the road. Now it's going to be much, much safer and much more controlled for people to get on foot or on bike from where they are to where they want to be. So, and kudos to the town crew for getting that work done in this fabulous weather.
And Mike, I believe we do also expect the actual painting of the crosswalk to be done this season, we hope.
We just have to coordinate that with the county, Bill. Probably won't be painted. If we do anything, it'll be the thermoplastic to
Right.
put down. So
Yeah.
we're going to see if we can get that down, because it's not so weather dependent or so temperature dependent.
Right, good. Terrific. Finally, Chris, Public Works.
Thanks, Bill. We were not able to meet this morning as scheduled, as all have said, but matters on the agenda are being attended to. The East Avenue sidewalk extension along East Avenue from the town of Pittsford line to Knollwood Drive has again been addressed. Unfortunately, there we've got a $300,000 estimate. This would complete the sidewalk there near Allen's Creek School, which will be a great addition, but there are some very serious obstacles to it. A retaining wall, two specimen oak trees, which are massive, that would have to be removed in a high bank. And the question is the cost benefit of that expense versus the use of the 4.5 foot shoulder at that point to get access to the school. So it's something considering, we continue to consider. It's on our wish list, and we will investigate the grant funding for the project. With respect to green light service, there still are pockets of homes in various neighborhoods that do not have green light service, and the town will continue to reach out to the green light folks to see if we can't fill in those gaps in service. It's a very good service, and folks definitely feel that they've been omitted, and that it would be much better for them if they could have green light as well as the spectrum alternatives. We've received a revised draft of the 5G regulations, and staff will complete their review of them and then introduce the document to our committee. Speed reduction is being considered in the Evans Farm area, and that's on tonight's agenda, limiting the speed, auto speeds in that pickup, as Bill, you've mentioned already, and others have mentioned as well, that the highway crews are out there very, very hard at work, and it seems like with a hard frost and then some breeze, the leaves have fallen. So there's a very substantial project underway, and they're going to continue to work right through this weekend as well, and hope to clear the streets, clear the neighborhoods of these leaves, and to get them out of the street. Please do not leave them on the street. Also, the Packer crews continue to pick up containerized leaves at a much a faster pace and shorter intervals. So if you've got that opportunity to put them in containers, they'll be removed much faster. And if you want to see what the schedule is on leaf pickups, please go online. There is a map. We'll tell you when your neighborhood is expected to have your leaves up, so you don't miss that round. The next meeting it would be December 1st, and we can always remain hopeful. It would be at 9 o'clock. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Chris. We have not gotten any calls on the open forum 303-3060. So we will continue on with new business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, Bill, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $207,227.07. Notable claims include to Dolomite Products Company Incorporated in the amount of $4,157.31, representing payment for stone for the Duffield Road project and other road projects. Also to Duke's Root Control in the amount of $4,028.96, representing payment for root control service for the sanitary sewer district. Also to Game Time, the amount of $5,332.62, representing payment for the purchase of playground equipment for the parks. Also to Intivity Incorporated, the amount of $4,450, representing payment for the purchase of HEPA air filters, or air filter units, for the town hall. And finally, to Plant Concepts, the amount of $8,478, representing payment for the mowing at park locations for the month of October per board awarded contract. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. Next matter, Christine.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $5,500 from the police department forfeited property account to contracted services to conduct a community survey related to satisfaction with police in the community. I move that we accept the resolution as
Prepared by the attorney to the town.
yes, it's been a day. It really
I second that.
And I do want to note, because we did have a discussion about this in finance, because of everything that's been going on, we have not had the opportunity to close the loop on some what I thought were pretty good questions that Robin asked during that meeting. So this item is only relating to the budget transfer, does not authorize a specific vendor for the work, just to clarify that. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. Jason.
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to amend an agreement with Cernus Vending Services to include service at the Recreation Department at Brookside and increase annual payment to the town from $250 to $500. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Very self-explanatory. And if there are any questions, hearing none. Dan, if you call the roll, please.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Why don't you do the next one as well, Jason?
Sure. The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement with Monroe County for the receipt of CARES Act funding. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Monroe County, because it is a municipality with a population greater than 500,000, did receive funding under the CARES Act. Brighton, the other towns and villages in Monroe County did not. But County Executive Bello announced that he would make some of that CARES Act funding available for reimbursement, or at least for potential reimbursement, to towns for some of the incremental expenses that were incurred, that have been incurred during the course of the pandemic. We've made application for some of that funding. This authorization is simply to authorize an intermunicipal agreement with the county. Once final determinations have been made about the amounts of reimbursement, we will be asked to sign an agreement. I believe the agreement form is going to be coming out within the next day or so, and then we'll wait to see, the level of funding that is available. So, but this item again is just to execute those intermunicipal agreements. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine, if you would do the next one.
All right, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a renewal agreement with Penflex Incorporated for a term of 1 year from November 1st, 2020 through October 31st, 2021 for service as the third-party administrator for the West Brighton Fire Protection District's Length of Service Award Program. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And again, this is a contract that we have renewed each year during the years that the service award program has been in place. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. I do just want to note that on that matter, just bringing it up here on my screen. The base price on that, there are various services that are referenced in their letter, but their base price for the year would be going up by $100. So relatively minor increase for 2021. Thank you for that. Did we call the roll on that one? We did, right? Okay, thought so. Chris, the short-term disability policy for CSCA.
Yes, Bill. The next item is to approve the Cigna short-term disability policy and rates for its CSCA members effective January 1, 2021, and authorize the supervisor to inform Brown & Brown Insurance of the acceptance of the Cigna short-term disability policy and rates for CSCA members. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Paula, anything?
Brown and Brown did go out to their disability providers and did secure this rate for the town. So we did shop around.
Good. Like the song, you got to shop around. We have the motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. Not all of us here are old enough to remember that song. Robin, if you do the next one.
Certainly. The next matter seeks to set a public hearing for proposed tree removals at 220 Esplanade Drive, 745 Penfield Road on Colonial Village, and 131 and 142 Sylvan Road. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
And you have the various information about these trees. It's never fun to have to take trees down, but sometimes there's really not much choice. You see the one indicated as a dead tree, the one on Penfield Road on the Colonial Village side, but all of these trees from the report require our attention. A couple of them are dead trees. Further discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. Chris.
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute a sanitary sewer easement agreement with the owners of 1139 and 1195 Edgewood Avenue for the extension number 107 project for the Brighton Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, and to sign any necessary related agreements. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And I'd like to ask, the resolution has it correct, but there is also an apartment complex on Pamela Lane that also has an easement. So if you could, again, the resolution itself is correct, but I just want to note that property is in there as well, in addition to the two Edgewood Avenue properties.
Thanks, Bill. That's it, part of my motion.
Perfect. And I know that was part of the second.
Absolutely.
Mike, anything to discuss on this one?
No, this is part of a district formation we did back in September. We formed a sanitary sewer district back in September for these two parcels. In order to get public sewer to the parcel to the south, we require the easements that we're requesting the signature for.
Great. I did have a question, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Ken about it, but I just wanted to make sure, A, that the name of the entity is correct on the apartment complex, and two, that the form of the notary it will be accepted by the county clerk's office. So we know the intent is to include the entity that owns those apartments at the corner of Pamela Lane and Edgewood. They're identified as the Locust Hill Apartments. It's just not clear to me that that's truly their corporate name, or that the notary form is proper. But subject to that, and recognizing that the resolution intends to include all of those properties, I think we can review that as to the form of the documents after the meeting.
I'll make sure that happens, Bill.
Yeah.
Mike, who in your office is shepherding this through the process?
Chad Roscoe, we did discuss who the proper signator is for the easement, and we were assured that the individual who signed that easement was the proper signator for that easement. I'll check on the apartments, Ken.
Well, if you could just have Chad contact me tomorrow and I'll make
Sure.
sure that we have the right form and the right name and make sure that everything is square.
Sounds good. I will do that.
Great, thanks. We have a motion and a second. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. And finally, Christine.
Yes, the next matter seeks to set a public hearing for proposed speed limit reductions to 25 miles an hour for Fairmeadow Drive from Edgewood Avenue to Greenvale Drive, Greenvale Drive from Fairmeadow Drive to Dartford Road, Evans Lane from Westfall Road to Idlewood Road, and Lynn Haven Court from Greenvale Road to the cul-de-sac. I move that we adopt the resolution, that we set the public hearing as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
We previously had reduced speeds on most of the streets in Evans Farm, but there were a couple that we didn't get. So now the intent is with these streets, all of the streets within the neighborhood, the Evans Farm neighborhood, will have a 25-mile speed limit. Dan, unless there's any further comments, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember DePonzio,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Maley.
Aye. Under matters of the supervisor, I see there's a reference to a legal issue. I believe that really should be under the motion to go into executive session. I didn't catch that. We will have a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter of litigation. But I do want to just one more event that's coming up next week. SUNY Empire State College has been a great partner on all sorts of things, community-wise, since they opened a couple of years back. Many of us voted at Empire State College, early voting this year. But Empire State College is conducting a food drive at their Brighton location here on Westfall Road. It's part of a system-wide food drive. They're holding an event at their main headquarters campus in Saratoga Springs. They're doing one at their Long Island campus and this one. And I want to thank Timothy Cosgriff over there, who's the director of their community relations. I hope I got that title right. Community activities, maybe it is, but Timothy's just a great community focused person, and he's really made sure that the college is engaged. This food drive will benefit the Brighton Food Cupboard, and it will be held from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on 1 week from today, next Tuesday, November 17th. It will be drive-through, touch-free. If you can just open your trunk, if you've got your food in your trunk or your back seat, wherever. And the address of Empire State College is 680 Westfall Road. Matters of the attorney to the town.
I do not have anything this evening. Thank you, except for that executive session matter.
Great, thank you. Matters of the clerk.
I just briefly want to, thank all of the Brighton residents and non-Brighton residents for that matter who stepped up to work on election day last week. Especially in the times of COVID, greatly appreciated their service help our election go off without a hitch. And also just wanted to thank the institutions that allowed us to come in and vote at their facilities. It was again, tough year, asking a lot of them, and very grateful that for the facilities who stepped up and participated in the process. Obviously, we could not have done it without them. So thanks to all of them as well.
Thank you as well, Dan. You and the other town clerks play an integral role in getting those locations. I know it was tough because a lot of them, understandably, I mean, senior communities were very reluctant. Lots of places that have done it in the past. It was going to be hard for them to do it this year. You had to scramble, but you got everything covered. It was as smooth a year as I think we've ever had, and you and the commissioners down at the Board of Elections deserve a lot of credit, and all the Board of Elections staff that worked so hard to make sure we had a fair election that was accessible to everyone. Great job.
Yeah, well, I should specify in particular the folks at the Edgewood Church, as well as the management over at Linden Oaks Office Park. They were just kind of stepped up as one-off hosts for us this year. And they really, again, we lost 6 locations due to COVID concerns. So to be able to have them step up and join in was huge. And I'll just say too, I was gonna say we've all moved on from the election. hasn't quite gone.
That's a good one.
But in particular, the folks at the Board of Elections have definitely not moved on from the election. They will be starting the absentee count on Monday when the overseas and military ballots are due back. So they still have loads of hard work in front of them. And obviously there's enough absentees due to COVID that, there may be changes on the final, who looks ahead after Tuesday night. That may not be the case after these are counted, because there's a lot of them out there, 90 some odd thousand as I last recall. So, keep the Board of Elections folks in your thoughts, because, they always have a ton of work to do after the election and after we all move on. But this year in particular, they have as our dear friend Jim Vogel would say, they're about to undertake, yeoman's work to get this all done. So, yeah.
Thanks, Dan. And obviously, we've heard a lot about the election. Some of it complete nonsense. The absentee and the mail-in ballots, obviously they've been expanded, but military ballots we've waited to count them for years. The notion that we would cut off ballots in this state or any other state when men and women are serving overseas, this gives them the right to vote for their commander-in-chief. I know from a military rank perspective, it's an interesting concept that a PFC and a sergeant can vote on their commander-in-chief, but they do, and they can vote on the senators and their assembly members, and it's done that way. It works that way. It's not in any way evidence of someone trying to put their thumb on the scales. Every vote is counted. And that's, I know, what our Board of Elections will do this year and every year. And I appreciate it. Matters of the town board. Then can I have...
Before we go on, Bill, I'm sorry.
Oh, sure.
Ken Gordon. So I did just jump on the county clerk's website really quickly and took a look at that easement, and just so that we can close the loop right now, Mike, Locust Hill Apartments is the proper legal name of the title owner of that property. And I took a look at the jurat for the notary and it looks fine.
Good, thank you.
We're good.
Love it. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter of litigation?
So moved.
Second.
I think that was Jason's voice I heard.
That was.
Good, good. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey.
Aye. I don't anticipate we'll be coming out of executive session. And I think the only, other than the board members, Ken is really the only person we need to have stay for that. Just a reminder, just as we moved from Wednesday to Tuesday for the board meeting this week, we'll be doing the same thing in 2 weeks. Instead of meeting the night before Thanksgiving, we will meet Tuesday night, the 24th, for our next town board meeting. And I look forward to seeing you there. And everybody have a very good evening. And please do remember the men and women that have served and continue to serve our country tomorrow on Veterans Day. Have a great evening, everybody.